let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm John.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look back at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Get Down, Arnold.
Give it the chopper. Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're all taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies, and we're breaking them all the way down.
John.
Kevin.
Here we are.
Again. It's like we never left because we didn't.
Here we are again on our own. How you feeling?
I'm feeling loosey-goosey, fancy-free.
Man, it's a nice night to be drinking ice-cold bourbon.
It's any day that ends in Y, my friend.
Thank you, Woodford.
Yes,
Reserve.
Woodford. Yes, we love you.
Double oaked.
Kevin and I are planning a sojourn to the Bourbon Trail this coming fall, and I've been to Woodford. I don't know if we're going to go back. I feel like
how was that?
It was excellent.
Cool.
But it was a very like commercial experience. I will say that their grounds are beautiful.
Yeah.
The rack house where they have all the casks and stuff set up, which I'm sure is just a tiny fraction. They've probably got a warehouse somewhere across town, like 2 warehouses.
Yeah.
Top to bottom casks, but the picture that they paint is rustic and beautiful. So I'm hoping. I feel like we should pick some of the smaller guys when
I'm
we
into
go.
that.
Yeah. Pick some of the smaller guys that are a little more off the beaten path, that are doing the thing still and like really like going after it from they're pulling themselves up by the bootstraps kind of deal.
I'm into it. But this is not the bourbon podcast,
it
sadly.
Should be. Damn it.
So welcome back, friends of the podcast, friends of the Last of the Action Heroes podcast network.
Yes, friends near and far. We're glad you're with us.
Yeah. Do you want to do the yeoman's work of trying to explain what's going on?
So,
wait, we're talking about Eraser.
Yeah, we're talking about Eraser, 1996. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Vanessa L. Williams.
This was like
James Caan.
I feel like
Jimmy Coburn.
Arnold's. I mean, I have to look into his catalog. But definitely this was the last movie that I think of as being like Arnold in his prime.
Well, but Arnold doing this kind of a movie.
Like an
where
R-rated
where it was
actioner.
Like, yeah, where it was like not Arnold being charming for children or Arnold, doing Arnold stuff for some other reason. It really felt like that's what it seemed like to me. It was like, it felt like
it's old school action.
Yeah. And Arnold is visibly, not the young specimen that he once was at this point, but he still pulls it off because it's Arnold. It's fine. We believe it. So Vanessa L. Williams has discovered that there is a plot within the corporation she works for, Cyrez, to sell weapons outside of the United States Department of Defense, but representatives within Congress are involved. They're going to sell it, or they already have sold it for millions. Now they have to move the product of this prototype of a weapon that's like a super killer rifle.
Yes, it's a very tangled web going on here.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Eraser, is the deep ops for the Witness Protection Program.
He's the pointy end of the stick.
That's right. His mentor is James Caan, and he has been assigned the duty after Vanessa L. Williams brought the information forward to protect her. And also, we should mention Eldon from Murphy Brown. He's that Arnold saved him at the very beginning of the first episode, so he's going to come back at some point. You promise me you're going to come back later and save my ass at the end of the movie.
Show up.
And So after he puts her in hiding, after Arnold puts her in hiding,
he stashes her in Chinatown.
James Caan shows up unexpectedly and's like, "Hey, we've got witnesses disappearing. I need for you to come with me on a side quest to save these other people that might be in danger." We kind of get the feeling that Arnold thinks something is up, something suspicious. He's like, "All right, well, we're going to do your witness first," and that's sort of where we're at.
Okay. That's close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's linked up with some more marshals, and they're hopping on board Con Air.
Right.
To fly
it's
to
like, shit.
Who knows where.
What movie is this?
Wherever James Caan / DeGuerin's witness is hiding out.
Right.
So, they've landed, I guess, wherever they are. Eraser is gearing up for battle in the woods. In
Again,
what appears to be close proximity to a raging forest fire.
I can't tell if it's supposed to be like humid and misty.
It's got to be meant to be like fog.
Yeah.
But it is just...
It looks like smoke machine.
Intense smoke. But you got to love the hero gearing up for battle sequence in a movie like this.
Yeah, and we see some of the things that we saw in the first act in the montage. We see the little like belt shuriken and some other things that he's like getting ready.
Fans of this genre are familiar with this sequence.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Rambo movies have it. Commando had it. Predator. Yeah. When he's like gearing up to fight the Predator. You know?
Just like strapping on shit that I might need. Even Matrix is like all these guns.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of guns.
There's a tiny red dot on his hand to indicate where just mere days ago, we think.
The day before.
This is
one day ago.
Well, it's unclear if some amount of time has passed.
That's true, because we have to think that maybe the hearings are going to be sometime later because Congress moves slow.
But his hand is healing nicely from where he had like basically a corkscrew through his knuckle earlier on.
Not a big deal.
But yeah, they're in the wilderness, it seems, somewhere. DeGuerin is telling everyone that the witness, Allison, she's probably perfectly safe, so don't go in there all trigger happy. She's like probably baking muffins or some shit.
Yeah.
Is the idea that they've been trying to reach her and she hasn't been answering, or that there's no phone lines?
I think that maybe because it's live contact, they're just supposed to show up.
Just show up unannounced?
Yeah.
Okay. Eraser is like screwing a silencer onto his pistol. Why?
Okay.
They want to go in silent and smooth.
I think always. Yeah, that's just probably the mission. Yeah.
But yeah, so the men fan out. They start moving towards this secluded cabin. Eraser and DeGuerin are sticking together. This place where they're at is like my idea of heaven.
Yeah.
Like just a cabin in the fucking woods.
Well, we should also mention that DeGuerin like divvied up responsibilities about who's going where, and that he decided that he and Eraser were going in the front door together.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm with you. This location is sick. It's so beautiful.
We don't have a clue where this is in the world, but it's
I guess ostensibly it's supposed to be East Coast,
be on the East
but
Coast somewhere.
It looks West Coast.
Maybe it's around the Finger Lakes.
No.
I don't know. Oh. But they come upon an SUV that's parked there. Eraser feels the hood of the car, says the engine's still warm. When they approach the front door, they find that like a window on the front door has already been broken out.
Right.
Eraser and DeGuerin begin to sweep the house. A gunman pops out, ready to shoot Eraser in the back, but DeGuerin kills that guy first.
Right.
I felt like for being like the best in the game that Eraser is, he was about to get shot right there.
In his defense, I think that if you watch it closely, that we're supposed to divine that there is a noise upstairs that distracts Eraser, and that as he moves to check, that's when the dude pops out.
All right. There was like this briefest nod of appreciation sort of between Eraser and DeGuerin.
Yeah, between like student and mentor.
A nice moment there. Eraser hears a noise upstairs.
Yeah.
Goes up to investigate. DeGuerin continues to sweep downstairs. Fucking strange tactics, I thought. It's like,
why not stay together?
I detect people up here. All right, you're on your own.
All right, yeah, bye. I'm going to go back here. That was so dumb. Like, all right, I've got your back. No, you go do it.
Go check that out by yourself, buddy.
So stupid. It made no sense. I'm with you.
So Eraser goes upstairs. He can sense that there's like someone behind the open door.
And I reckoned that this was because it was like based on the sounds that he was hearing. He was like, I kind of figured there was someone like right here.
Sometimes you can like kind of tell, I feel like. So he kicks the door as hard as he can and blindly stabs through the door with his fucked up hand.
Well, yeah. Well, so like he like jumps out, kicks the door. The guy gets some shots off. So I feel like at that point, he definitely knows there's someone back there. So he's just like, I'm going to stab wherever.
I also thought, though, there is every possibility that it could have been the witness that was behind the door.
That's also true.
He's just like stabbed her in the heart.
Throat. I'm so sorry. Oh shit! I just didn't think you'd have a gun because you're a woman.
So,
sexist bullshit.
So another goon pops out. Eraser kills him with a shotgun blast. So it's like, so why did you guys have the silencers and all like that?
Yeah, he pulls he had the sawed-off shotgun. It was like a little musket-sized thing
tiny.
in a holster on his side that he like whips out and blows the dude away. And it's like,
with his
why?
fucking fucked up hand. Can you imagine the pain?
No.
That, like, shooting a shotgun one-handed with your hand that just had a nail driven through it or whatever, like a couple days ago?
I don't know what kind of training he's been through, so not exactly. So maybe. I don't know. It's not outside of the realm of possibility that there are people that, especially in these kinds of situations, don't feel pain. But I'm going to say...
But also the pain would be just unimaginable.
Like, we haven't seen him take a single antibiotic. And also, like, that screw would have left a fucking, like, a quarter-sized ripped up fucking thing.
Nasty.
Like, a fraction of his hand would be gone.
He just brute strength ripped that thing out of his hand earlier.
Unless he twisted it out so that no flesh came with it, I don't buy the fact that there's not just, like, mountains of muscle and sinew hanging off that screw. Anyway, neither here nor there.
Downstairs, DeGuerin hears the ruckus upstairs, whatever. But then he hears a woman's whimper, like in the other room, goes to check that shit out. He kicks the door open, finds a man holding a gun to the head of his witness as a hostage. The dude seems to recognize DeGuerin.
Right?
Says, "You're early." DeGuerin says, "You're late."
Yeah, the dude
shoots the dude in the head.
The dude lets his guard right down like he knows who DeGuerin is, so immediately you're like, oh, fuck.
Oh, shit. That dude did the most dramatic death I've ever seen for a guy who just got shot in the forehead. Like, he was like, oh!
Who knows what's going through his brain pan at that second? Like, all the synapses firing, yeah.
So back upstairs, another gunman comes a-running, spraying bullets from a machine gun. Eraser ducks into another room. We hear the sound of a window breaking. The gunman enters, looks out the broken window for signs of Eraser.
Sir.
Psst, Eraser says behind him. Comes swinging down out of the rafters and, like, kicks the dude out the window.
How was he hiding in the rafters without this dude seeing him?
That dude's a fucking ninja, man. It's like the art of invisibility up there. But he swung down with it effortlessly on his ruined hand.
Oh, my
and
God.
kicked it out the window. Eraser heads back downstairs. He seems content that the goon who he kicked out the window is just out of the picture.
He's dead now. He must have broken his neck.
To have killed a man. But DeGuerin, he's comforting his witness. Then he grabs the dead man's gun and shoots her in the chest. It's like, I feel like actually
what?
But also there's like no need to kill her at this point, right? Couldn't he just be like, wow, we saved her?
I think at this point he's trying to frame.
He's already setting up Eraser?
Yeah.
Could be. His plan never comes to fruition, whatever it might have been.
Right.
But he hears footsteps approaching, pretends to be giving the woman mouth to mouth. Monroe appears in the doorway, and DeGuerin tells him to go call for an ambulance. DeGuerin says he's sorry to the woman. Then he like pinches her nose closed and covers her mouth and suffocates her.
That's rough.
That's a fucked up way to kill somebody. But she stops struggling just as Eraser runs in. DeGuerin tells him, she's gone.
We lost her.
Eraser puzzles at the logic.
I will say, Jimmy Kahn looks looks genuinely defeated We lost her.
The man's an actor.
Yeah.
Eraser puzzles at the logic of sending 5 assassins to kill one woman. Who knows?
Because she's a woman?
I don't know.
Sexist bullshit.
Well, it doesn't seem all that unusual, particularly like with the way that it played out. But also, I thought they sent like 5 men to kill Lee Cullen earlier at her home, and he didn't seem overly surprised.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Calderon stealthily plants a photo of Lee Cullen on one of the dead bad guys.
Right.
DeGuerin posits that the bad guys must have been waiting for us to arrive to ambush us, which doesn't make much sense at all.
I love that Calderon immediately was like, "Oh my God, look what I found!" Immediately.
Is she yours? Is she yours? Is she one of yours?
Oh my God.
Maybe the thing is that this attack is very similar to the attack on Lee earlier, and that is like what perks Eraser's ears up. I don't really know what's going on. But yeah, Calderon pretends to find that picture, asks Eraser if is she your witness. Eraser nods. DeGuerin tells him, all right, we'll call her now, and we got to warn her. Eraser says, there's no phones where she is.
Yeah, phones are a no-go, my friend.
So we're going to have to make live contact. DeGuerin asks, well, all right, where is she? And Eraser, sensing that something is not
alarm
right.
bells must be going off because he's like, oh, she's in Atlanta.
She's in Atlanta. He says, shout out Atlanta.
Hey.
He's either a genius or like just the most suspicious dude ever.
So my thought of this is like there's the briefest of pauses for what seems like recognition of tactics.
Yeah.
And DeGuerin's like, well, we better get moving. And then walks off. And it's at this moment that I'm like, and then Eraser gives this super suspicious look. And it's at this point that you're like very clearly dealing with two people who know every move that the other person's planning.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I was like I couldn't figure out why he's so spooked about what's going on. But maybe it's just that this is
just two guys.
It's so far out of character and so far out of like our standard operating procedure.
Yeah, it's like everything that you say now at this point, like I feel like once things have gone off the rails, off the way that they should have been based on what they had discussed, that now, because of his training, which DeGuerin gave him, that now Eraser's like, he's thinking 3-4 moves in advance, and DeGuerin's like thinking, shit, what did I teach him 3-4 moves in advance? And it's like, it's a very interesting cat and mouse thing. So whereas before I was like, this fucking side mission sucks, at this point it pays off to where it's like, okay, well now it's like these two guys like pivoting around each other.
Yeah. It's hard to picture like a battle of wits with James Caan, who seems like the ultimate like sort of savvy, shady dude, and then Arnold, who seems just like a big Neanderthal. But he plays a smart dude a lot. I mean, I feel like in life, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a very smart dude.
You also have to wonder like how much in his career was he making decisions based on the fact that he wasn't being taken seriously because of his accent or because of his bodybuilding background, and people thought that they were dealing with a fruitcake, and then he was like, fuck you, watch how I have an excellent business acumen, I have studied up, I have excellent mentors and these people that are like helping him out. And I feel like that's why I feel like so many of these characters are like Arnold playing a version of himself.
I guarantee you his IQ is higher than average, Arnold.
Yeah,
he's like a smart dude. I feel like it's just sometimes like trying to fight through the accent. It's kind of like,
but that's what
he's not able to express himself with the nuance of someone who just registers as a crafty, smart person.
But for the purposes of this movie and others, I feel like it's like, yeah, it pays off in the long run because it's a great cat and mouse game.
So.
Tell us more about this movie.
Back on the jet, back on board Con Air. Eraser is grabbing a bottle of water from the bucket of ice. DeGuerin gives him a little
cooling off. Yeah.
Gives him a little wink. Calderon reaches for a bottle, but DeGuerin stops him and gives him a drink from the fridge instead.
Yeah, it's like, drink this Pepsi, my brother.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, wait, what?
Ruh-roh.
If you weren't in tune just a moment ago that some shit's like some shady.
Well, we got to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, James Caan's bad. We know that because we just saw him kill his own witness.
But
or
it's
whatever.
like even all this now feels a little bit heavy-handed.
Give me some drugged waters on board that plane. But yeah, Eraser takes a big ass gulp out of that water. He sold it too with the long like that was one refreshed motherfucker, man. DeGuerin notices that the young Monroe seems distant. That was Danny Nucci, as we mentioned. You know this guy, fucking crushing it in the mid-90s. Crimson Tide, The Rock, Titanic. Never took the next big step in his career, sadly.
I know. I want to know more about him because he still
works.
Around.
Yeah, he's out there. He's listening right now. What up? Shout out Danny Nucci.
Thank you so much. I hope all of our favorite Daniels are with each other right now. Daniel Day-Lewis, Daniel Nucci. They're all together right now.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So the guy Monroe, that's Danny Nucci, says that being in the firefight was terrible, but it was also kind of exciting. DeGuerin tells Monroe, it's natural to feel that way. Eraser comes wandering through and is like, yeah, totally natural.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. That's such weird direction.
Why is he moving around on the plane? Like,
I think maybe he's just amped up. I don't know. Yeah, like he went to the back, sat down, and he's like, I'm still thirsty. I need to walk around.
He's like, he seems like he's wound up from the firefight, maybe from like sort of not trusting the situation has got him on edge. I don't know. Maybe he was feeling a little off already and thought I'm going to walk it off.
Fast-acting drugs.
Right, because Eraser seems that he's feeling a little woozy. He takes a look at that bottle of water. He sort of stumbles into a seat. DeGuerin notices this, and he starts telling Monroe the story about how he wound up at WITSEC. James Caan, man, is doing fucking good work here.
Yeah, and most of it you don't even really see, but he says,
hear it.
He's like, my father was seemingly a nobody, a nice, quiet man, but who on his deathbed revealed that he was in the CIA. And DeGuerin said that because of that, he felt like he had to be part of the CIA. He had to be part of that world.
The game, as he calls it. And then he's talking about like how it's like a drug. It's addictive. You get hooked on it.
Yeah.
So he had... he said he followed in his father's footsteps, working for the CIA, and then we're moving on to WITSEC. Eraser gets his cell phone out, starts struggling to dial a number into the phone for Lee's pager in New York. Unless you got some like fucking special technology on that plane, in 1996 there was no way you got a signal up on the plane to make a call.
I guess you are you're hoping that like most Americans or whoever they work for the government. Yeah, but that's not how that works.
They could have some sort of like a mobile, maybe cellular thing on the plane to make calls. I don't know.
But
it would have to be some technology advanced.
I feel like at that time, that's some shit that's only on like Air Force One. But I don't know. Maybe they had that kind of stuff on planes at that time for like special forces, but not for witness protection.
Nah.
Not for witness protection.
So in Chinatown, Lee's pager beeps. She grabs her purse and she bolts out of the apartment there.
She stuffs it with the map to the zoo and that 38.
Nice.
Yeah.
Back on the plane, Monroe is asking Eraser, how do you wind up working for WITSEC? Monroe notices that something's wrong with Eraser. He's asking if he's okay. Eraser stares at DeGuerin, realizing that DeGuerin has drugged him.
Yeah, he's like, he starts to say you, but that's all I can manage.
Eraser loses consciousness. DeGuerin grabs Eraser's pistol out of his holster, grabs his cell phone, only to find that Eraser has cleared the call log. Monroe wants to know, what the hell's going on
what's
here?
What's happening?
DeGuerin asks the guys up front if they tracked the call. Schiff says, yeah, the call went to New York City. So wait, they can pinpoint like the location of where the page went to, but they don't know the number?
No, they can't, but we are meant to believe that they did.
So we see
sad people riot in single file to hide their numbers. These tracks are side to side.
we see back in New York, Lee's hailing a cab to the zoo. Back on board the plane, DeGuerin is instructing the plane to change course for New York. Monroe's like, okay, well, I'm going to call WITSEC headquarters and inform them.
Let them know we're changing the flight route.
Right, ever the good young U.S. Marshal, but also I think he senses like something is fucked up is going on.
He's trying to do whatever he can without causing a ruckus that he knows is going to get him killed at this point.
Yeah. Also, though, shouldn't that be the pilot's job, like to call and say we're changing course or whatever? I don't know how that show works.
I don't know.
But I've got all sorts of questions about the pilots that we'll get to here as we go.
We'll get there because it's like, come on, guys.
So DeGuerin tells Monroe, that's not necessary. He sits him down. There was this bulletproof vest.
He's like, hey, did I give you your evaluation? And Monroe's like,
that was great work.
Evaluation?
That was great work back there. But dude, was it not ominous as fuck when he took that bulletproof vest that was like laying flat in the seat and he flipped it up into the seat back? It's like, oh, some shit's about to go bad for Danny Nucci here, man.
We feel bad for him.
Yeah, dude, that was some ominous type shit. But he sits Monroe down, shoots him twice in the chest
unceremoniously, we didn't have. I feel like we didn't have really time to prepare for Monroe's death.
Yeah,
that was rough.
Shoots him with a racer's gun. Then he's like telling the other dude, like, God damn it, give me a wet nap. Oof. It's like fucking, that's fucked up. That's too bad though. Danny Nucci was given a strong performance. I thought in the, I love that he's like film
A+ kid.
Oh man. So did the pilots hear this? You would hear gunfire back in the...
Doesn't matter. Maybe they're on the payroll.
Yeah, they could be bad. We don't really know. We never really know.
No.
Calderon says, we got a squad of guys in New York that we could trust to send after Lee. DeGuerin tells him, okay, we'll get those guys ready in New York. And then he tells him, clean up the mess. Referring to Monroe.
Clean up this dead body.
Yeah, dude. Cut to New York. We see Lee entering the zoo. Seems like it's like meant to be maybe the Central Park Zoo.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. Given where the other locations
were. The look
of
it all.
Mm-hmm.
Back on the plane, Eraser is like sort of slowly regaining consciousness. DeGuerin tells him, we're almost to New York City. Eraser's like, well, then you're off course. DeGuerin's like, nah, I don't think so. And he's telling him, you're going to lead us to wherever it is that you're supposed to meet Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Eraser reaches for his pistol.
Real slowly. Just like...
Maybe he's still groggy.
He's super groggy. But the thing is like, you can tell he's like with it. And so this scene, I was like, none of this computes. It's like, is he groggy or not? And he's only been out for 3 minutes.
Something like that. Yeah. DeGuerin holds up the gun like in an evidence bag.
That was super shitty. Like,
DeGuerin's like, you've done a very bad thing. You killed Monroe.
That was funny. You've done a very, very bad thing, John.
He's like, so that makes you the traitor in Witsec. Eraser goes into a rage.
He's like, no, that makes you the murderer.
That makes you a murderer. He gets to his feet, comes at DeGuerin, but DeGuerin points the gun at Eraser.
And every other bad guy on the plane does.
Yeah, Calderon's behind him with the gun.
And whatever the other dude's name is. Yeah, Schiff is down there too.
So DeGuerin tells him, look, I'm a businessman. This is just business. Eraser, I guess, pieces together that he and his old CIA buddies are selling Cyrez weapons on the black market. Which never really gets firmly established, but I guess
I wish more had been made of this. Whoever the CIA
the undersecretary must have been a former CIA guy.
Like if he had said, "Remember when we served? Now we're like what's something like just something."
They never
to pay
really
that off.
spell it out. It's also very similar to the plot of Lethal Weapon, where like these former CIA guys are doing some shit, but. Eraser wants to know, if this is all just about money or what are you trying to start a war somewhere? DeGuerin points out like, hey, look, we lost Vietnam.
He's like,
we won in the Gulf.
Yeah, wars come and go. We lost Vietnam. We won the Gulf War, but nothing changes regardless.
Which is not untrue.
It's totally true.
So, he says, the only difference is who gets rich and who gets dead. Personally, John, I prefer rich.
Yeah.
Fucking Jimmy Kahn, man. Killing it. Charisma for days.
Yep.
So I guess DeGuerin's deal is that he's just become completely disillusioned.
Yeah.
By it all. He's seen too much.
He was like, well, you sign on to serve, and then you see that serving means nothing.
Right.
Unless you're in it for the money.
So DeGuerin tells Eraser, it doesn't have to be like this. he sort of says, we can let you join us. You can get rich too if you just give up this woman, Lee.
That can't be a serious offer, right?
Right. How would that work? Someone's got to take the fall.
At this point, there's no way they'd let Eraser walk, right?
Unless the only way would be if he was just going to wheel around and shoot Schiff or something and be like, all right, now Schiff's the mole. And he's the bad. Someone's got to take the fall for all the shit that's happened on this plane. Eraser tells DeGuerin, if you drop your gun now, I promise I won't kill you.
Yeah, that's like his counteroffer. He's like, okay, I'll tell you what
this
I'll
is
do.
Tough. Like, in my imaginary backstory of the movie, DeGuerin is like a big brother or a father figure type guy to Eraser. Isn't that the impression that we have?
Definitely.
Like, I feel
father figure.
I feel like DeGuerin's probably been his mentor for 20 years or however long that Eraser's been with Witsec. It's like, I don't know that you could that quickly just flip the switch to like, I'm going to fucking kill you.
So what just happened was a nice piece for me of parallelism. Is that DeGuerin gave him an option. You know, like,
join us.
You give up Lee.
Join us.
You give
or
up
die.
Lee. Yeah, you join us or die. And he's like, I'll never become a Jedi.
I'll never join you.
I'm a Jedi like my father, and tosses the lightsaber away. He's like, well, Jedi. That's sort of the thing that just happened.
Yeah.
So I can kind of totally get it. But it's
imagine
like,
the mental like anguish you're in when you're like, this dude's been like my dad for 20 years, and now on a dime, like, I'll fucking kill you.
Well, yeah,
man.
he's like, well, all right, thank you for your offer. I'm going to meet you with a counter. If you'll go ahead and drop your gun, I won't kill you. But I'm going to have to kill you if you don't drop your gun.
So DeGuerin chuckles to his cronies.
Great face from Jimmy Kahn here. Amazing. He serves amazing face in this, like looking back at Schiff and like, what?
So he says, I guess I'll take my chances. Eraser smiles, produces that tiny little shuriken that he had hidden in his belt buckle, throws it at DeGuerin. DeGuerin raises his arm, but the knife like goes into his arm.
Stabs into his forearm meat.
Eraser turns on the shocked Calderon, punches him out. Fucking guy was useless.
He lets out the most epic and lunges toward the plane door.
Imagine Calderon standing, gun drawn, and pressed into Eraser's back, and you still managed to let Eraser get the jump on you.
The only defense that I can say is you're on a plane. You don't want to shoot the gun.
Yes, maybe. As DeGuerin and Schiff just open fire, Eraser yanks the emergency door on the plane. The door sucks out into space, and like all of inside becomes a vacuum.
Right.
We've seen it a million times.
Yeah.
Schiff loses his balance. He sort of goes tumbling towards Eraser. Eraser slams Schiff into the wall, takes his pistol from him. He exchanges some gunfire with Calderon. DeGuerin opens fire on him from like the other side. Eraser finds himself pinned down. DeGuerin pulls that knife out of his arm and he says, I can't believe you nailed me with this cheap piece of mail order shit, which
That's
is a
awesome.
fucking killer line because he acknowledges like how ridiculous it even is to be carrying a little knife like that in your belt buckle.
Yeah.
It's like the likelihood that you would ever be in a situation where you could use that knife is slim.
Yeah.
You know? But Eraser sees a parachute stowed away in like an overhead area, pulls that down. He looks out the door and sees he's like directly in front of one of the jet's engines.
Yeah.
DeGuerin yells at him like, if you jump,
go ahead and jump.
You're going to be sucked right into that engine, man, which I think is actually true if you're flying at that speed, like 500 miles an hour or something.
Yeah.
It's not like skydiving speed.
No.
This is like cruising speed on a jet.
That thing is moving.
Yeah, man. So Eraser yells, the DeGuerin's right. He rips this jump seat off the wall and chucks it out the door.
Feat of strength.
Yes, dude.
Maybe the first real feat of strength in the movie, like a real one.
Yeah.
Like just pull that
well, he
thing
didn't
out
whip that dude up onto the roof
I thought
like
about
it
that,
was.
but that's like pulling a guy up, but then like ripping this thing like that's moored to the wall
bolted
with
into the
bolts and
wall.
shit. That's like, okay.
Dude, I feel like that's actually what would happen though. Like if you chucked it out, it's sucked into the engine like fucking goes up in flames. I did think it would have been way cooler though, man, if he had like chucked Schiff out the door and Schiff got sucked in the engine.
Cool. Yeah, we need like none of the bad guys have died really. Like none of the marquee bad guys at this point.
Nah.
So yeah, why not get rid of one of them and in a way that's like satisfying from a
You get your
movie standpoint.
catharsis.
Yeah, it's like, yeah,
Fucking,
Schiff was an asshole.
That's a rough way to go. Engine explodes. The pilots are struggling to like regain control of the plane. This seems to be the first time that the pilots are aware that there's a problem.
Yeah.
They're like,
they haven't heard the
what?
gunfire.
The gunfire, the sudden loss of cabin pressure.
Everything's fine.
But
Down here. How are you?
Eraser prepares to jump out of the plane. He's under like a hail of bullets.
Why is he? All right, so he like scoots himself toward the door and then like sort of like lowers himself halfway out, I guess, so that he can just like grab the chute at the last second and like just fly out with it in his grasp. I mean, that whole part is like, why are you doing it like that?
This is weird. He puts the chute on first.
Yeah.
But the only thing I can think of is just that he's under a hail of bullets and he doesn't really like have time, although no one's hitting him. But yeah, he's like, he finds himself somehow dangling out the door without a parachute, hanging on for dear life. One of his hands ought to be completely fucked from earlier.
He's holding on with one hand.
Yeah, dude.
Unless adrenaline, I guess, is a thing, but still.
So he sort of pulls himself back through the door enough that he can reach and grab the parachute, but under another volley of gunfire, he loses hold of the parachute, which is now like falling.
Yeah, it's like plummeting to earth.
Yeah, dude. With no other option, Eraser just lets go.
Fuck it.
Free falling without a parachute.
We'll do it live.
Fucking Johnny Utah style. That was some badass Point Break shit.
Yeah,
man,
it was. It was awesome.
Out. So Eraser, he spots the parachute falling below him. He makes himself into like a bullet. Yeah,
he does that thing where he like streamlines himself like an otter and just like shoots down.
Back on board the plane, DeGuerin is ordering the pilot to turn the plane around and take him out.
Pilot basically says, no can do, asshole. He's just trying to keep the thing in the air because they've got engine troubles.
No shit they do. This raises the question, are the pilots like in on it? Or are they?
I feel like everyone at this point has to be in on it.
was holding a gun to that dude's head.
He put a gun directly to the dude's neck, and he's like, "Turn it around and take the dude out." And the guy's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" I feel like everyone has to be in on it.
Everyone's gonna have to file paperwork when they're back on the ground about what happened.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Is like at this point, it's like they're just trying to. If they get to where they're going safely, then there's no paperwork required. But at this point, they're obviously not because an engine is blown.
Yes. So Eraser sees that the plane is circling around and coming back at him. DeGuerin tells the pilot, I want to see his face all over this windshield.
Gruesome.
Fucking another like memorable line, too. Eraser pulls out the pistol that I guess it was not shown, but he must have tucked Schiff's pistol into his holster before he wound up out the door of the plane,
and it stayed in his holster while he was hanging out of the plane.
And free falling.
Well, let's talk a little bit about physics right now, because he unloads, while he's floating through the air, unloads rounds at the approaching plane. And I don't know what happens to rounds if you're floating down and firing the gun forward. Is it still going to produce enough impact? I guess because maybe the plane's flying towards you, but also, are you going to have enough time? Like, it's just like the way that
you gotta imagine
the way
the plane is going hundreds of miles an hour.
Yeah,
I don't know, but he had a ridiculous supply of bullets.
Right.
Like I counted, he fired at least 10 shots just now, like while he's on the parachute, minus whatever Schiff had already fired on the plane. And also, we're just getting started on the amount of bullets that get fired from this gun.
Yep.
Before he discards it.
Yep.
But his bullets shatter the windshield of the plane, so that makes the pilot swerve at the last possible moment.
That's so fucking funny. Like, it's not a bus. You don't do planes like...
You swear, I gotta jerk the wheel. Yeah, I guess... I reckon a windshield on a passenger jet like this is probably not bulletproof.
Yeah, no, it makes sense that it would break.
On military-type jets, I think they do have windshields that would stop just a handgun-type bullet. Yeah.
But that also.
But this is not a military.
That also
jet.
Like answers the argument of like how far are they up? Because if the cabin lost pressure, like for those dudes to stay conscious,
What was crazy was when DeGuerin popped in the cabin,
Yeah.
like the pilots weren't wearing masks or anything. So I guess they were low.
It has to be low.
Or the screenwriters didn't give a fuck.
They didn't have any idea.
One or the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, the plane that whooshes by Eraser gets his parachute sort of tangled up, and now he's free falling again, tangled up in a parachute. He struggles to get himself untangled as the ground is rushing up at him.
Oh, God.
He's able to cut that tangled parachute loose, pulls his reserve chute at the last possible fucking second.
And crashes hard
Into a junkyard.
Yeah,
I reckon in New Jersey or some shit. It was a pretty good little action sequence.
Yeah,
It might have been the high point for the movie.
I would say
action.
that overall, considering when it was made, that the skydiving stunts and stuff and the plane CG, it didn't look terrible.
These were the early days of CGI in movies.
And even like in that regard, watching it on my little laptop screen, I was not like, that looks terrible. I mean,
it wasn't the worst.
Fine.
I think ILM did the effects, I think.
That's the hallmark.
Yeah. So he thuds down on top of these cars in a junkyard somewhere. Couple of kids on bikes and a barking dog pop out of the fucking woodwork like immediately. The little boy's like, oh man, did that hurt? It had to hurt. I saw it. Eraser's like, where am I? And the little girl is like, Earth. Welcome.
That was a good delivery.
The kids had charisma for days, those little kids. That same joke also got used in the new Top Gun movie.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. But so Eraser asked the kids, can I borrow your dad's truck? The little girl has been admiring his parachute, I guess. Eraser says, I'll trade it for the truck. The little boy's like, give me $50.
I love that he seems like humorously put out by the amount. He's like, $50. It's like, come on, dude.
I guess that he had some cash on him.
$5,000 watch on.
Yes. Cut to Eraser speeding out of there in Bob's towing truck.
That's good.
Fucking poor Bob's chasing after him. I feel bad for Bob. Like, Eraser's fucking with his livelihood.
I feel the same way. I thought the exact same thing.
Cut to the Witsec jet has safely landed as the fiery engine is being hosed down. It's dark now. Hell of a job by those pilots.
Big time.
Like, evil or not, to land that plane with missing an engine, no fucking windshield.
Sully, eat your heart out.
Yes. DeGuerin, Calderon, and Schiff, they're walking across the tarmac as another goon comes, tells them, we traced the location of the page to an apartment in Chinatown.
Is that how science works?
Is that how pagers work? I don't know any of that.
Either.
No, it doesn't at all.
From the tower.
It would chase it to the nearest tower.
Yep.
They did not have that technology. There wasn't like GPS in the pager. But so they went to the apartment. Lee was already gone. There's just like an endless supply at this point of U.S. Marshals who are in on it.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I was wondering.
There's a dozen fucking dudes who are in on it.
All these dudes are supposed to get paid off, and you are expecting all of these guys to be quiet? Bullshit.
No, that doesn't work.
No.
DeGuerin tells him, the page was just a run signal. Asks about the taxi activity in that area.
And at that point, I'm like, what? We're keeping tabs on all the taxis
Well,
now?
I think you could gather that information, but I don't know that the dudes would just have it handy.
They wouldn't be able to say 45 minutes later, or like however long. How many days ago was that? Well, yeah, it's like 3 women.
This was roughly like
fit the description.
An hour ago or something.
Crazy.
But another goon tells them there was 3 women sort of matching Lee's description picked up around that time, around that area. Destinations were Madison Avenue, Central Park West, and the zoo. DeGuerin reckons that the zoo would be the most logical place since it's like super duper public.
Mm-hmm.
DeGuerin tells Calderon to have his shooters converge on the zoo. Eraser has made it to New York City in this time.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's like driving through the fucking tunnel on the wrong side of the road.
I love that.
I'm like, you'd get pulled over pretty fucking quick,
immediately,
man, trying to do this shit. At the zoo, Lee is like waiting anxiously by a payphone.
The designated payphone that they talked about earlier.
There's a PA announcement that the zoo is going to be closing in 10 minutes. There was like these asshole kids taunting a tiger in the cage, like dragging a stick back and forth across the bars. I felt like when I was watching this, I'm like, dude, there's no zoo like this in New York City. Like it makes it just a strange thing to write into the script. Like the Central Park Zoo has like penguins and goats and shit. Like it doesn't have big
tigers,
cats and monkeys and whatever else. But they filmed this bit at like in the abandoned zoo in Los Angeles, the Griffith Park Zoo, which is near like the Griffith Observatory and all like that. But they had animals shipped in and stuff to film this shit.
Interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah.
There were like fucking peacocks and kangaroos and stuff going on in the background. So a man approaches Lee, identifies himself as a U.S. Marshal. It's one of the goons from earlier. Yeah, it's Boggs/Drake, who tried to kill Lee at her house earlier. Lee's like, well, where's Eraser? The dude says, he's on the way, but he sent me to be sure you're safe.
Bullshit. Red flag.
Well, also, Lee notices there's like a couple of other suspicious motherfuckers sort of milling around. Lee says, well, if Eraser sent you, he must have taught you the secret handshake.
What?
Sticks her hand out there. It's good work from Vanessa Williams in this scene, I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
The dude, Boggs, is like confused, but he reluctantly sort of goes to shake her hand. She pulls that little snub nose out and shoots him in the leg and runs away. Dude radios to DeGuerin. Like, that bitch shot me. DeGuerin has like just arrived on the scene, says, take her down if you have to, but we need her alive.
Well, choose some different words.
Take her down.
We just say, we need her alive. Get her, but we need her alive. Not take her down.
I guess.
I'd be like, I'm so confused. Should we kill her or not?
The idea, I guess, is they want her alive because they need to find that second disc.
They need to know where the disc is.
Just in case she doesn't have it on her or whatever.
Yep.
So as the goons are all like pulling weapons out of the trunk, zoo security comes running up, wants to know what's going on. DeGuerin tells him, lock the zoo down.
Flashes the badge.
Dudes are instantly taking orders from DeGuerin, the zoo security. Lee makes a run for the exit, but sees DeGuerin and others are entering. She freezes. Eraser picked this space specifically because it had like so many exits, but now she's found herself trapped.
In the one section by the monkeys.
Yes.
And the reptile house.
Fucking monkeys start howling. Draws the bad guy's attention. Fucking monkeys, man. They're always trying to fuck your shit up.
Absolutely.
Lee goes running off deeper into the zoo. Eraser comes racing across a fucking open field. I guess that's supposed to be Central Park.
I think it's supposed to be some sort of like grassy area right in front of the entrance.
Ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's he coming from? I don't know. But
Jersey.
A couple of gunmen open fire on the truck. Eraser ducks his head and plows right through the gates of the zoo. I was just thinking, like, poor fucking Bob, man.
Yeah.
This truck is his livelihood. Like, insurance is going to deny that claim.
Yep.
Like, no. You don't have theft and whatever. DeGuerin and the other dudes come running over immediately or, like, unloading on the truck. DeGuerin opens the door, finds that the truck is empty. When did he get out of that truck? Like, they were on him instantly. Is he just that good?
He's a miracle worker.
He's a fucking ninja.
Yeah.
So, DeGuerin says, he's here.
He's super worried. He's like, oh, God.
Lee has gone to hide in the reptile house, but bad guys are instantly just banging on the door. They burst in, open fire.
These bad guys are terrible. They're inept.
The dudes are spraying bullets just blindly. It's like, this is not a great way to take her alive. The one dude who...
Well, that's probably the order that's been given. We're supposed to, quote, unquote, take her alive.
Yeah.
If she dies, that's fine.
The dude Boggs who got shot earlier, he's getting around pretty well on that wounded leg because he's there. Lee goes firing back until she runs out of bullets from her little snub nose. As the bad guys surround Lee, Eraser comes literally flying through the back door.
Firing his gun in midair, yelling,
get down! He mows down the closest bad guy. She's like, you're late. And he says, traffic.
Okay.
Fucking... That exchange would never happen unless it was fucking scripted.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a moment for levity right now. But Eraser, he's also nearly out of bullets, which is about fucking time because he's been firing from that same ass gun, Schiff's gun. So he would not have like clips in his belt
unless
that would fit
maybe
that
he
gun.
brought some.
Unless he had the same gun, maybe. But this was like a big ass Desert Eagle.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he has some intel on Schiff. Who knows?
He's fired roughly 50 shots out of that gun, I feel like, though, at this point. It's been firing since on the plane.
Yeah.
He tells Lee, like, make a run for it when I give the word. I watched this behind the scenes video of the movie. on YouTube where they had footage of like Arnold working on the blocking of the scene.
Yeah.
And he's like laying down on the floor of the zoo, like puffing on a massive cigar.
Of course.
Like fucking pure Arnold, dude. But as the gunmen are closing in, Eraser, in a desperation move, shoots out the glass of this big ass aquarium, flooding the room with water and alligators.
Sweet.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Gators are instantly, like, ripping dudes apart.
Yeah, I love that the one dude gets, like, bit on each arm, and they, like, pull his arm off. That is
fucking draw and quarter this motherfucker.
Also, like, here's the whole budget of the movie is, like, the CG for these alligators.
Right? Like, it was
in 1996.
Decent. The shit looked decent, didn't it?
Yeah.
In the early days
I
of
thought
CGI.
So. Yeah.
Those fuckers were hungry, though, man. Like, they were just straight going at dudes. I think Boggs got his, like, head bitten off.
Yeah, like one chomped right down on his head and killed him.
So Eraser and Lee, they're trying to make a run for it, but they see DeGuerin and the others are approaching. They turn back into the reptile house and come face to face with, like, a big-ass gator. With a flick of his tail, the gator knocks Eraser's pistol out of his hand.
The fuck?
He kicks that gator in the face and goes desperately crawling across the floor to try to get the gun back with the gator chasing him. For some reason, there was like an antique wooden fucking like music.
Podium.
It was
Yeah,
like a music stand or
yeah.
something. He took that and tossed it into the gator's mouth. It was bizarre. But he gets to his gun just in time, turns, shoots the gator dead, and says, "Your luggage."
I feel like getting off that one shot in its mouth and thinking that would kill it immediately that's such a lucky shot.
It must have gone straight through the soft palate, hit the brain.
Like it was the luckiest shot though.
Oh, for sure. Thank God. He's that good,
yeah,
though.
I love the your luggage.
Your
line.
luggage.
But it's also like the alligator gets a kiss off line.
That was the top kiss off line for the movie, went to the alligator.
So far.
You dug the line though? You were into it?
When I
Your luggage.
it wasn't terrible. The delivery wasn't terrible. But
No.
I was like, the alligator needs a kiss off line. The alligator doesn't it's already dead and it doesn't understand, but whatever.
So as DeGuerin and the others are moving in, they just start shooting again blindly at Lee and Eraser, way likely to kill her.
Yeah, and with
But
no other exit.
Eraser and Lee, they go diving out a window.
What's
And
going to happen?
I don't know, man. Have they made an escape? I feel like the zoo was pretty well locked down.
One would think.
But
But they don't know who they're dealing with, John Matrix.
We'll
I mean,
have to-
Eraser. I mean, Kruger. I mean,
Dutch.
Yeah. Who?
Detective John Kimball.
Man, he plays a lot of Johns.
He does. There's no
Interesting.
shortage of John movies.
Interesting.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we...
Man, this has been fun.
Yeah.
We hope you guys are having a blast. We're having a blast.
Things are happening in this movie. You can't say they're not happening.
You'd be lying.
You just saw an alligator just got shot in the face.
I'm telling you, like the whole CG, like the whole budget blown on that CG is insane. I was mesmerized by
This
it.
has
And
to
it
be
actually didn't look bad.
No, this has to be the most action-packed like segment of the film between the plane stunt and then the reptile house shootout.
Yeah, and it's definitely taken the longest for us to talk about.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, but that's fine.
Okay.
You guys are in for it. We're here for it. We hope you guys have enjoyed it.
We've enjoyed the shit out of it.
Hell yeah. All right, you guys, we'll see you next time. We'll be back.